Well, guess what, everybody? It is finally time for another Subculture After Dark. Yes, we had a little bit of a break because Harley was busy studying and I got sick and then my dad got sick again. So we took a little bit of a break just to get everything back. But welcome back, Harley.
Thank you. And yes, we're very sorry, but it'll be worth the wait. This episode's going to be pretty interesting. Yeah, interesting interviews that Dave's going to mention in a second, but also new song from Nightwish.
Yeah, we owe you guys big time and we thought we would deliver. So we've got a brand new track from Nightwish that is freshly out called An Ocean of Strange Islands. Sorry, we're also going to chat to Boundaries about their Australian tour. And talking of Australian tours, Hammerfall, one of the biggest metal bands out of Scandinavia over the last 20, 30 years, have never done an Australian tour. They're coming in January next year. So we're going to chat to Hammerfall about that tour. We're also going to talk to Sylosis. Of course, Josh, the lead singer there, has been away from the band for a little while doing his other band, Architects. He's back with Sylosis and they're coming to Australia. So we're going to chat to him about that tour that's coming up. There's a band that I want to get you to all to know, female-fronted heavy metal band out of the UK called Crimson Veil. We're going to chat to them on the show tonight. We're also going to chat to Tungsten about their brand new album. And then, Harley, we owe the listeners something big, and we're going to deliver because we've got Pa from Sabaton coming on the show tonight, one of the biggest heavy metal bands in the world right now. He's coming on because
Do you think people will recognize the name? I have a feeling they might.
Yeah. So they're doing a very, very special concert movie that's hitting select cinemas right around Australia next month. Pa came on the show to chat a little bit about that and also about his love for Australia as well. So we've got a pretty big show. You can't get much bigger than delivering Sabaton, I guess. So let's just jump straight into it because it is such a big show. I don't normally like saying this, but we are going to open the show with Nightwish tonight. Now, I am scheduled to do a chat with Nightwish in a few weeks' time at 4 a.m. in the morning because that's the perfect time for them. So hopefully in an upcoming episode of Subculture After Dark, we will have Nightwish. I don't like promising because you never know with these things what happens with they pull out or something like that. But hopefully we will have.
But if the planets align correctly and the fates do us right, then we may present to you Nightwish on the show.
Definitely. But let's open the show with their brand new track. It's called An Ocean of Strange Islands. It's from their upcoming album that's coming out in just a few weeks. Here it is, Nightwish with An Ocean of Strange Islands.
Well, mate, I've got to say we are very, very excited about this tour that's coming up. Tell us a little bit about how you guys are feeling about it at the moment.
Um, we're definitely a little anxious, as I think is sort of to just be expected anytime you go somewhere for the first time. Because not only have we never been to Australia, but I don't know if you guys know this, you are not near a lot of other stuff.
No.
So we have sort of no idea what to expect, but expectations are kind of high because I've always, obviously you guys have a huge metalcore culture that goes back, the last 20 years. So like the community is there for sure. It's established, but I think we're all curious to see how it is for us.
Yep. How does that change things for you when you're coming to a country that you've never been to before or you've never played in front of your fans here? How does that change things for you as the way that you approach the shows?
I don't know if it changes too much as far as what is required of us, so to speak, like performance-wise, or what we're going to try to offer these people. We try to not get into our heads too much about, because obviously it's happened. You play somewhere for the first time, and you're like, oh, no one really gave a shit. Okay, that's fine. Then you come back 2, 3 more times, and, you retain people, they bring friends, new people come and check you out, and everything's fine.
Yep.
But with something like Australia, it's not like Europe where I'm going to hop on a plane 2, 3 times a year because it's, like a 12-hour flight and then I'm there. It's a little more involved than that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know of bands that hit Australia multiple times a year. So, this band has been a band for 10 years and we're finally going to go there for the first time. I don't think it'll be 10 more before we go again, but it might be a little while. So there's an expectation to be like, give the people there the best version of everything that we can.
Yep.
So we'll probably be just a bit hard on ourselves that way. Like, try to really play perfect, try to really just make it as good as we can, which sounds like sometimes we play shows where we try to sound bad, which isn't the case, but there's times where I think we'll be more forgiving.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you play a set and you're like, I could have done that better, but it's okay. We have another tour in 6 weeks. We're going to be back. Whereas this, it's like, it's got to be perfect. Because who knows?
Yeah. Someone told me once, coming to a new country and playing, it's like when you go to meet a girlfriend or a boyfriend's parents for the first time. You know that it's going to be a long-lasting effect, so you want it to be absolutely perfect. Is that how it's feeling for you?
Yeah, I think maybe just that honestly might be more stressful. Because obviously first impressions are huge. But with that said, I think music's a little different where a lot of people are willing to be won over even if they didn't have a great first impression. Like we just put out our 3rd LP.
Yep.
I promise there are people that didn't like the first 2 that liked the 3rd one, and they were willing to check it out to see if it would be, their jam.
Yep.
So I think in general, music is a little more forgiving because you're allowed to mess up, so to speak, or, just make stuff people don't like. But then they'll come back and they'll check it out.
Yeah.
I think if you mess up parents, you mess up parents forever. You're always going to be garbage to them.
Yeah. You mentioned your last album, Death is a Little More. It's an absolutely brilliant album. Does that fill you with a little bit more confidence that you're touring off the back of such a strong album that seemed to have been received quite well here as well?
Thank you. Only slightly. I think no matter what, we're going to be super anxious going into the tour as a whole, the first show. It's our first time there, so we're just, it's just going to be like passport around my neck, stupid American, somebody help me, how do I do this? Which was pretty much our first experience in Europe. At least there won't be like a language barrier. You guys just have, a funny accent, and then we'll be chilling.
Yeah.
But, I've been playing video games with Australians for years. I think I have a particular talent at understanding even like the craziest of Australian accents, so I think I'll be fine. I'll be chilling.
Now I have to ask, as someone who loves gaming as well, what games are you into?
I'm a big RPG guy.
Yep.
I'm big, fireball, lightning bolt, dragon, sword, shit like that. That's where I made my first couple of Australian friends, because little lore, back in the day when World of Warcraft came out, you guys didn't have a server, so the best server people could play on was North America and East Coast.
Yep.
So I would make Australian friends that were on like a 12, 14-hour time difference, because it was the only place for them to play. I actually still talk to one of them, so I'm hoping to meet him for the first time when we go to Australia.
Oh, that's awesome. So the 12-hour flight over, am I picking up that there might be some handheld gaming going on that 12-hour flight?
Oh, it's completely possible. Before our last tour, I actually bought a laptop, because it was just like, not that I hate handhelds, but like the games that I play don't really lend themselves to handhelds too well. Like, if anything, I would use like a Bluetooth controller or something. But yeah, pretty much everyone in the band has a Steam Deck at this point. They love them. I don't have one. Like I said, I just got a laptop, but I'll probably bring that. Anything to get through the insane travel day that is going to be getting to you guys.
Yep. Yeah, and you notice that here in Australia as well. It's like when you travel anywhere in Australia, like if you're going overseas, it's like you always have to prepare yourself for that 6-hour flight or that 12-hour flight. It's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, no, there's nothing's right around the corner.
Nah. So, bringing it back to your last album, what I loved about the last album was just the raw emotion that was on that album. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about Death Is a Little More, what it meant to you guys, and how you got that real raw emotion sound with that album.
I think the sound we all kind of pre-agreed upon before we ever got to the studio, what we were going for. We wanted to do what we were calling like the scary record. We wanted it to have that edge to it. So production-wise, we communicated all of that to our producer, Randy LaBeouf, and he was on board immediately. We came with examples of kind of production styles we wanted to do. We wanted it to be a little cleaner in some aspects, but also a little muddier, a little dirtier in other aspects. I kind of only know how to write about emotional stuff. I think that lends itself to me not really being a musician. I never really planned on writing songs. It's just that I was always writing, and they would become songs. So I'm a bit of a one-trick pony. I sort of only know how to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there will ever be a Boundaries record that isn't, to some effect, an emotional record. I also think that's just kind of the music I like to make. I'm not really interested in just like making stuff for the sake of making it because it's heavy or whatever.
Yep. You mentioned your power there is in writing. Is that something that you've done your whole life, or is it something that you kind of developed a little bit later on?
At least since I was a teenager. I think it's just something I gravitated towards. Not having, it's something that comes at the recommendation of, hey, do you not really have a lot of people in your life to talk to? Try writing,
Yep.
Getting the thoughts out one way or another was always super helpful to me. Journaling has always been something that I would pick up and drop throughout my life. Sometimes it would be every day for 3 months. Sometimes it would be once a week. But I'm always writing, and it just is something that stuck with me. Even now, to where it's like I don't necessarily need it as much. I have a great support system. I have great people in my life. But it's still, I think, important to like practice the muscle of talking to yourself.
Yeah. We talked about what a powerful album that last album is. How have those tracks been going live since you guys have been playing them live?
They've been great. I mean, it's a little tough with it. You know, it came out while we were on tour, so we've done more or less. We've done 2 tours with it out. One was a headliner, so you know, people that were going were there for us, more or less. So, like, it was easy. You know, they already know the songs. Whereas, like, we just got home from a tour a week ago where we were 2 of 4, and that was a little different. Because obviously a good chunk of the people that are at the show are there for all different bands. So we got to see how those songs affect people that have never heard of us before. And even then, it's felt great. You know, I feel like we wrote something that each part of it could lend itself to a very different listener.
Yeah.
So really, just depending on how we build the set list, we can make something that can kind of fit whatever type of tour we would be on.
Yep. Writing from such a personal space like you do you find that a lot of people out there come up to you after shows and say, hey, this track spoke to me in this way, or hey, this track that you wrote years ago helped me get through a tough time in my life? Do you find that happens very often?
Yeah, all the time.
And how do you deal with that? Like, is that something that you enjoy talking to people about, or how does that make you feel?
It can be a bit much at times, just because I think people are very ready to give me credit for their success, which is not something I'm super comfortable with. You know, I wrote a song. I was just expressing myself. You know, what makes me happier than anything is when I get to, like, create those connections. You know, that's the whole appeal of music to me, is just, like, expression and connection. So I do like when people are like, hey, you know, XYZ was important to me, or helped me through this, really opened my eyes to thinking about things like this way. The only thing that can, like I said, become a bit much is when people take it kind of one step further and thank me as if I was literally like a person in their life. Because I think that kind of takes the credit away from, you know, they're doing all the hard work, is what I always tell them. Like, you know, I'm just writing songs, I'm just playing breakdowns with my friends.
Okay. Yeah. So I know we're running out of time very quickly, so I've just got 2 quick questions. First of all, putting together the set list for Australia. You talked before about putting together a set list that everybody's going to enjoy. Have you thought about the set list for Australia? And if so, can you give us a little bit of an indication of what it might look like?
We've definitely thought about it. We've talked about it a lot because it's our first time going there. But it's our first time going there, and we have 3 records, EPs. You know, we have a bunch of music to pick from, and we play first. You know, we probably have like a half-hour set, maybe. You know, and even then, I'm not sure. It could be 25 minutes. That's not a huge window to fit in, you know, 4 hours of music or whatever we have.
Yeah.
So we've been going back and forth a lot about what is or isn't going to make the cut. Obviously, we have to play new stuff, because, you know, that's the most fun for us to play anyway, is stuff off the new records, what we're most excited about. And also, I think the popularity of that record was probably a vehicle to us even getting an Australia offer in the first place. So it would feel silly to then not play any of those songs once we're over there. But I think we have a decent sense of loyalty to most of our material. You know, there's stuff that we're not going to play just because it's, even if we did, no one would care. But I'm not sure if I can name specific songs.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, we're still arguing about what is or isn't going to make the cut.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be something like, you know, maybe 3-4 songs from the latest record. Probably 2 songs from each other LP, and then maybe one from something else. We try to really make each set feel fluid, but also, I would hate for it to be someone's first time seeing us and them be disappointed because the one they really wanted to hear we didn't play. Like, that's always going to happen.
Yep.
But I'd like to avoid it as often as we can.
Definitely. Well, to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are going to be heading along to your Aussie shows?
That I need good recommendations for food and coffee, specifically vegan food, because I don't know how you guys are about that stuff down there. Hopefully it's easy. Otherwise, I'll just be eating Oreos. That's fine, too. And also, if you do want to check us out, we play first, so you're going to have to get there early. I know that's a bummer. I don't know how Australia is about, Europe, people show up for the whole show. America, people show up for the band they want to see. So I don't know how you guys are about that, but, either way, come or don't, that's fine. We can still be friends.
I still see you when I close my eyes. I can't even notice when you're not near me. How some things never change. All of this time, and I still can't keep the pace. Will you break all of the promises that you made? For you it should be easy to erase. Accidental, absolute. What part of I can take it? Do you not understand? I'd rather never hold it than have it leave my hands. All of these lies that you vision me, I still don't have your company. Every life lived 1,000 times still isn't goodbye. All the blocking years I lost. My eyes are dry for the first time in my life. Will you break all of the promises that you made? For you it should be easy to erase. My love for you, an accidental, absolute. How much longer until I feel better?
Those days I wish I never met you. Because then I could sleep at night. I didn't have to walk around with the knowledge that there was someone like you out there.
All that's lost, but never gone. The things that we won't be, and the places we won't see, they're no longer on me. We'll take a loaded gun. Tell me left. Your hands are covered in the blood of the weak and the willing.
Well, listeners, the gods have listened and Hammerfall are coming to Australia for the first time ever for an Australian tour that we are so excited about. And we thought tonight on the show, to find out a little bit more about this amazing tour, we thought we would actually get Oscar from the band on the phone to chat all about it. Welcome to the program, Oscar.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure being here.
Now, Oscar, tell us a little bit about this Australian tour. All of your fans here are so excited about you coming to Australia for the first time. How do you feel about this tour?
I'm at least as excited as they are. I'm really looking forward to it. Like we did one show in 2015. In 30 years, that's the only show we ever did in Australia. It doesn't really count. So for me, it's really exciting to be able to go to Australia and do a full tour of all the major cities, I guess. So we're very excited about this. It's the one show, one tour that I'm not going to be spending in my hotel room. I'm going to be exploring and experiencing as much as I can.
We'll talk to you about the exploring in just a little bit, but I'm curious to know as well, when you've only been to a country for one show like that, is there a level of excitement for yourself being able to play your music in front of fans that have never seen you play live before?
It absolutely is, because if we've never been there or almost never been there, if we haven't toured regularly, people tend to be a little bit more excited when we go there. Like when we went back to the US for the first time in many years, in 2017 we were there. We hadn't been there for a long time, and there was sort of a surge in melodic metal as well in the US. So it was a very successful tour, which is the reason we still tour over there. But the thing is the same. When they haven't seen us over and over for 30 years, they haven't seen every show, every tour that we do. It's play for an audience that are excited than for an audience that don't want to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, anybody who buys a ticket wants to be there. But if you want to get into the show, then if you are getting into the show, if you don't stand around watching or nodding your head, that's good enough. But if you really want to be a part of it, bang your fist, scream, sing along in the lyrics, because that makes for such a great atmosphere. That makes it a heavy metal party. I usually talk about the Hammerfall shows like one big heavy metal party, because that's basically what it is. You have the band on stage playing, performing, trying to be energized and exciting. The audience can feed off of that and give us their energy and their power back to us. And then that is what I mean by the heavy metal party, because that's one big. It's not just a band performing and people watching. It's a collaboration. It's the interaction that's what makes it so great. And I think we've done. We do that a lot. That's what we base our tours on. And I think touring in Australia this time, that's why part of the reason I have high hopes for this is because we haven't been there all the time, and that people will be very excited to see us, and that would create some very unique experiences on stage every day, every night.
I think also crowds here in Australia have been very different since COVID, because of course for a lot of our country, we didn't have we had 2 years of lockdowns, and then we didn't have any tours for about another 12 months after that. But I think a lot of people started to realize what it was like not having concerts. So now they've gone back, there's an extra level of excitement. Have you found that where you've been playing in other places in the world as well?
It's a good question. I think now it's gone so much time has passed since we did the first show after COVID. That was in May of 22. So it's a long time now. When we've done, I don't know how many shows since then, but it's a lot of them. So now I don't have that same feeling anymore. But I remember the first show that we did after being forced to sit on the sidelines basically for 2 years, could not even exit your house, or at least not travel anywhere. For such a long time, you couldn't do the thing that you love the most, basically, which is playing live. It's such a great adrenaline rush. When that first show happened, I knew it was going to be like that, because we talked about it a little bit before. But it was not just us; it was the audience too. The audience they were starved. This was in Manchester, England, so it was in the UK. First show I think anybody has seen in 2 years, 2.5 years almost for us. It was incredible. It's a crazy feeling, but I don't think that we had that so much over the same year. The first year of that, there was. I think I talked to some booking agents in Europe, and they said that we sold X amount of tickets, but about 25% didn't show up because they were afraid to go to concerts, even though the restrictions of COVID was lifted.
Yeah.
And that was 2022 for a large part in some areas, like Germany, for example, was like this. But I don't know if I can remember what you're saying, that people are especially excited because it's COVID after COVID, because it's been so long. I don't know how many shows we played, but probably around 100, maybe more. Yeah, probably more. It's now it's back to business.
Yeah.
As normal as usual. But it's a good thing that you talked about Australia, Elizabeth, because obviously we haven't been there for such a long time, and almost never, and we don't really know what to expect. I know what to hope for, but I don't know exactly what I can expect. So it's good to know.
Apparently, a lot of bands and a lot of artists tell us that Australians at shows are very energetic and very, very crazy. They say that there's things that happen here in Australia that you've never seen before. In fact, one band said to me, Australia is the only country in the world where they've ever done a show where they've seen somebody in a wheelchair being passed around above everybody's head towards the stage.
All right. Okay, so this sounds very promising. You don't have to be a wheelchair by being passed around, but the energy level I like very much.
So, Oscar, tell us a little bit about your set list. Of course, when you've been, as you said before, you tour across Europe quite often, you tour in Scandinavia quite often, which means that your later shows will be focusing on Avenged the Fallen. But because you're coming to Australia and not been here for so many years, does that mean that your set list will change a little bit to play some of those older tracks as well that people have never seen live?
No, we're not going to do a lot of special things, I don't think. We haven't really started discussing this because we have a big tour in Europe coming up in October, and once that is over with, then that's when we're starting to focus on Australia, because that is what's happening right after New Year's. But I mean, we have a set list that now includes not every album, of course, because that's impossible, but all the eras of Hammerfall is included in there. We have the classics, we have some old stuff, we have some new stuff, we have some fun stuff. So it'll be whatever we decide to play. I'm sure if you're a fan of the band, it's going to be a really, really cool experience. That's what I'm hoping for our side, at least.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned before that you're hoping to get out and explore a little bit as well while you're here in Australia. What kind of things are you hoping to get out and do? What kind of things do you like to do away from the stage?
This is more a touristy thing. I think, just to see what's going on, if there's anything fun to do. I love animals. That's my favorite thing apart from metal music. So anything that I wish I could go on a tour in the wilderness or something, in the outback or whatever.
Yep.
But of course we don't have time to do those sorts of things normally because it's kind of a strict schedule when we play. But there will be time to do some things. We'll see what happens. Really, I haven't really thought of exactly what I want to do because I don't know what's available to do. But anything that has to do with beaches would be fun too. Don't get to go to a lot of those anymore either. So anything that's outdoors, I guess,
Now, you've sparked my interest talking about animals because, of course, away from radio, I'm a volunteer with Wildlife Warriors that look after endangered and endangered animals. Tell us a little bit about your love for animals. Where did that love for animals come from, and how does that impact your everyday life? Like, are you someone that gets out into nature? Do you have animals of your own? I'm interested now.
Sure. I think I've always loved animals since I was a kid. Every kid loves animals. We had a dog when I was younger. The dog was born the same year as I was. So for every year of my life, the first 30 years, we had a dog. And animals has just been something that I've been passionate about all the time. It's never really gone away. And now that I'm older, of course, we have dogs of our own. We have 3 dogs, and we're also a foster home for dogs as well when they need to be a family, like sort of the halfway house for them from wherever they were before into their forever home, basically.
Yep.
And I'm actually an ambassador for an organization here in Sweden called Hundar utan hem, which means dogs without a home.
Okay.
And I help raise awareness for them, for their non-profit organization, and just do fostering stuff. We've fostered dogs for 6 years, I think. 6 years. So we had a lot of dogs over there. So my duties hasn't really changed. I do the same thing I did before, but it's nice to have an official title for it, just to be able to help them reach out a little bit more. Because any dog, and the thing is, Sweden does not have any strays. We have a very strict policy on that. You have to chip your dog, and everybody takes care of their dog like it was a family member. So we don't really have stray dogs here.
Yep.
Well, we don't have it at all. But in Ireland, for example, they do have a lot of. It's mind-boggling to me to think that this is a European country, but they treat their animals in general as more as tools, or. Not living things. So that when one tool breaks, they want to just replace it with another. That's and I can talk about this for ages, because they have a really. There's so many dogs that are mistreated in Ireland. So this organization, Hundar utan hem, they work with a lot of shelters and in Ireland, that they bring home dogs from Ireland to Sweden, and then so they get a new life in Sweden. And we have 2 of those from there that came from this organization to us. We have a third one that we had. He's 13 years old, so we had him for a long time. And we also have a foster dog right now at the moment. We almost always have a foster dog, but this one has been with us for 10 months. Yep. He's a bit hard to get adopted because he has only 3 legs, but he's the most loving creature you can ever imagine.
Yeah, I've got a rescue here as well. I've got a dog that
nice.
Yeah, we don't have strays here in Australia either. We're the same as like what you said. It's like in Sweden, but I've got a rescue who couldn't stay with her family anymore because the child in the family became allergic to dogs. So yeah, I've got a rescue here as well.
Yep. Ah, that's nice. What's the breed?
So she is a Border Collie cross Blue Heeler. So Blue Heeler is an Australian dog. So they're also known as the Australian cattle dog. So yeah, she's a Border Collie cross Blue Heeler.
Nice.
So Oscar, tell us a little bit as well. Like, do you find that because of your love for animals, do you find that nature inspires you a lot with your music?
Yeah, I mean it does. It used to do more. It does inspire me in a way, but it's also just the thing that not being locked into a room, just being out by the ocean or in the woods, whatever it is, that is. I think that's inspiring for life in general, just to be able to handle everything that life throws at you, whatever it may be. I don't know if it actually inspires me to write any music, but it definitely helps me with life, and life is what I base my writing on. Like feelings and emotions is how I write music. So I guess you could say it does inspire me as well.
Definitely. Now I have to ask as well, with the new album Avenge the Fallen, how have you found those tracks have been going live, and will there be more of those added to the set list before you hit Australia as well?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, we did release a couple of singles before and we did do a lot of festivals this summer. So we did both a Latin American and a North American tour in spring, which we played Hail to the King on almost all of the shows. And then we added The End Justifies when that was released. We added that one to the set list as well. So we played those 2 throughout the whole summer, and it's been really good. mean, it's been really, they fit really well into the set. And Hail to the King is so easy for, even if you haven't heard the song a lot, you can still understand when you're supposed to throw your fist in the air and then yell Hail. It's very easy to get it into that way. So I think those have gone over really well. What happens next, I can't tell you yet. I don't know what songs we're going to be playing in January. We have this tour with Powerwolf coming up, and once that is over, I think we'll put together a set list. But there will be more than those 2 songs I just mentioned, more than those added to the set list for sure.
Awesome. Well, I know we are running out of time very quickly, so I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to your fans out there that are so eagerly waiting for this Hammerfall tour? What would you like to say to them?
I would like to say that come to the show or shows in January. If you come there with a party mood, then we're going to have the greatest time of our lives together. I guarantee you that.
We saw the writings on the wall when heathens ruled above us all. Tormented, we still heard the call. You come to bring us down.
Well, listeners, there is a tour coming up that we know a lot of you are very, very excited about. Sylosis are coming to Australia for the first time since 2013, and we are so excited about this tour. So tonight we thought we would actually get Josh on the phone to chat a little bit about this amazing tour. So welcome to the program, mate.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Now, mate, as I said, you guys haven't been here since 2013, so there's a lot of eager Aussies awaiting this tour. Tell us a little bit about how you feel about heading back here as well.
I cannot wait. I genuinely mean it when I say it's our favourite place to play. I mean, my favourite place to tour for sure. Some of the other guys haven't been over to Australia yet, so I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised. But for me, the food, the coffee, the weather, the people, I think it's like there's a big kinship. I think a very similar kind of sense of humour and stuff to the UK. So yeah, it's going to be great. But yeah, the shows I think are going to be awesome. I've been over there a lot, obviously, with Architects over the last 7 years. So I'm desperate to get back out there. The flight over there sucks, but the rest of it's going to be amazing.
How do you cope with that flight? That's one of the things I love to talk to people about, because everybody seems to have a different way to cope. I know some people like to pop a sleeping pill and go off to sleep for the entire trip. Others like to bring their Nintendo Switch. What's your way of escaping the boredom on that flight?
Oh, man, just the usual way. Just watching movies and eating food. I'll try and bring some snacks on. Yeah, it's a brutal flight or two flights. One thing that I'd seen somewhere on the internet was like someone saying, try this trick to get better sleep. So you're in your seat, stand up, turn around so you face your seat, then you put your knees, or your feet, under the seat, which would be in front of you, which is now behind you, and you sort of like rest and put your face like on your arms, like where you would sit. Maybe I can't just explain it too well for radio, but I actually managed to sleep pretty well like that.
That's
and it looks ridiculous, but you'll be so tired that you just don't care what anyone thinks about you. So I'll try that out again if I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. The last time I did it, actually, the air conditioning stopped working on the plane about halfway through, so it was so hot that everybody was just falling asleep anyway.
Oh, nice.
So, mate, you mentioned your love affair with Australia, and of course that's only enhanced over the last few years with Architects as well. You mentioned some of the things that you love about Australia, but are you aware of that love coming back to you as well? Are you aware of how many Aussie fans you actually have?
Yeah, to be honest, it's a kind of like a surprising one, because obviously we haven't been out there touring. We see it in like our streaming numbers, like coming from Australia. Like, it's amazing. The amount of comments that we get, like, come to Australia, have been more than anywhere else, it seems. So we feel confident and good about coming back there to be able to like just come back and headline, and hope that the shows are going to be really good. So yeah, super grateful for, I guess, like, things have just picked up for the band just from streaming and the internet over the years, like the last few years, and we've maybe gained some new fans. But I think we've always had, a following over there. So apologies to our older fans that have been very patient with us, waiting for us to get back.
And of course, the last time you guys were here, it was for our legendary festival Soundwave, that unfortunately is no longer with us. But that must have been such an amazing experience for you guys, because I know for us as fans, that was always the one festival that we used to love to go to every year. How did you find that experience playing at one of the most iconic festivals?
It was insane. So the year we did it was the Big Four, so it was like Metallica, Slayer, all those bands. So the very first night, Metallica hosted a barbecue for all the bands to go to, and they were there, and it was also like no crew is allowed, so just the guys in the bands or girls. And yeah, so that was crazy, and just, getting to hang out with all the bands and Metallica guys coming, doing the rounds, saying hello to everyone. Yeah, the lineup was insane. Like, aside from those bands, I think maybe Blink-182 were on it, but Perfect Circle, Paramore, Ghost, just so many bands. And you end up flying on these like private, like charter flights. So it's not like a private jet; it's a normal plane, but just with the bands. So there's a real sense of camaraderie, and yeah, just had an amazing time. Did all the touristy stuff that first time. Ended up accidentally swimming with a shark in Perth. Like the alarm went off on the beach, everyone out of the water. There was like a tiger shark. You could see it swimming in the shallows. So got the full experience on that first trip.
Now, talking of big changes, of course, you're back with the band full time now as well. Tell us a little bit about that. How does that make you feel, and what kind of led you to make that decision?
Yeah, it feels great to be back. Just it's a lot easier just to focus on one thing as well. And musically, like Sylosis is, always been my baby and a reflection of just the music that I listen to. Like I'm one of those few people that just listens to metal like all the time. So I just love like super heavy metal stuff. That's like what I grew up on. So yeah, it just feels like home. And luckily, like despite the fact we've been on we were on a hiatus, the band only seemed to grow in popularity, and we weren't like the biggest band ever like when we went on hiatus. So you could anticipate that there might be a bit of a drop off and it'd be harder to come back from. But if anything, the band's grown in that period. So it's just super grateful to old fans and new fans for kind of sticking with us or discovering us in that period.
I was actually going to ask you about that because I found the same thing, because I've been hosting this show now for over 20 years, and I found that during that time when you guys were not around, I was getting a lot more requests for your music. Do you think it was a case of people not knowing what they had until they didn't have it anymore, or was it that because of social media and things like that, it was a lot easier to share songs for people to listen to? What do you put that down to?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both of those things, and I think we've always had, or it seems so more so now than ever, that we've always had like a kind of a cult like following, and that we're not necessarily the biggest band, but the fans that are into the band are like super into the band, and I think we've always put a lot of attention to detail and a lot of effort into the songs, and there's a lot for people to sink their teeth into with our music. And I think when people discover the band and get into the band, they end up getting really hooked. So those fans have sort of stayed kind of like fanatic, and yeah, I guess has also helped, draw attention to us or keep flying the flag. But also like during the pandemic, we, after the hiatus, we released a few singles, just standalone singles, and one song in particular called Worship Decay ended up just getting a really good playlisting spot in like the biggest Spotify metal playlist, and it just kind of kept drawing attention to us. So I think a lot of people discovered us from that point onwards as well, with like Spotify playlisting. That kind of thing really helps.
Definitely. So tell us a little bit about your set list for this tour as well, because you haven't been here for a while. Does that change what you guys are going to plan for your set list for Australia?
We definitely always try and cover, especially on headline tours and shows, covering every album, trying to like showcase, all the different records and try and mix things up as much as possible. Admittedly, when we released the album before last, called Cycle of Suffering, that one came out. We just came back from our hiatus, announced this record, and then we went into like full lockdown like a week or two later. So we never got to tour that record. So there'll be a bunch of songs off that one. The new record still, it's just coming up to a year anniversary, but it still feels like, the new record. So that one gets a lot of love in the set. But the most important thing is just the new songs just go down so much better live. And I think it's, even fans of our old stuff, like there's no denying that the new songs were kind of written with the live environment in mind, and they just end up hitting so much harder and being a lot more intense and fun to play. But yeah, we definitely try and mix the set up.
Was there a reason why those newer tracks were written with that in mind? I mean, we get a lot of requests for for tracks like Servitude and things like that from Dormant Heart. But was there a reason why the tracks on Cycle of Suffering and A Sign of Things to Come were kind of written with a live setting in mind?
Yeah, just because we never used to. And part of the reason that we went on hiatus was I was kind of frustrated with the last tour we did. I just wasn't finding I was enjoying the shows as much as I could have been. And we put up I definitely put up a lot of kind of restrictions on what Sylosis could do. And I was too worried that people might see us as some sort of like, we didn't want to be seen as a metalcore band when we kind of put out our first record. We really wanted to kind of separate ourselves off. So we didn't play anything that resembled a breakdown, even though we, grew up listening to like Pantera and they had loads of like super simple, chuggy riffs. So I think we kind of missed, or I was definitely missing that element. I was finding that I just wanted to play super heavy, intense songs live, and some of the stuff we were doing up to the hiatus was a bit too, I just have to stand in one spot and really focus on my guitar playing and that kind of thing. Whereas now we're a bit more unbridled and we can kind of just do what we want and not worry as much about, appeasing like the elitist fans and that kind of stuff. So yeah, we just wanted the live show to be more fun and like more intense and heavy. So that's just kind of, we wrote the new stuff to kind of with mosh pits in mind.
Yeah. It sounds like that's put you in a really good frame of mind as well. Does that mean that your creativity is at a high at the moment because you are in such a good headspace?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's made a big difference. And I always looked to bands when I was a kid that got heavier and heavier, and I always loved that. So for me, when I was, a young teenager, I'd look at like the Pantera trajectory where they just got heavier and heavier. Like Great Song and Tranquil was like super intense, and they were doing like arenas on that record. And to me, it was like, that was what I looked to. Like, you really want, if you get into a band because they're heavy, and then they get heavier, it's like, yes. As a fan, I was just so stoked on that. Same with Slipknot. I was obsessed with Slipknot when they came out. The first record, I was just the right age to be like super hooked on that. And then when Iowa came out and it was even heavier, or like a lot more death metal stuff was coming out, I was like, yes. So I always want to kind of get heavier as we go on.
Yeah. I got to admit, I love it going that way, but I hate it going the other way. There's so many bands out there that I find these days that they start off really heavy, and then all of a sudden it's like they realize that they need a commercial radio hit. And then when that song takes off, then they become that kind of band playing that all the time. I hate that.
I don't think you necessarily need to do that. I think sometimes maybe so, but like I said, like Pantera and Slipknot to me as a kid were the bands that showed that, metal fans are like, when they get into a band, they're like super into it.
Yeah.
And if you stick to your guns and stay like playing super heavy stuff, it doesn't mean that you can't grow as a band, because those bands were like I said, Pantera, when they put out Great Southern Tranquil, they were like one of the biggest metal bands on the planet, and they were just getting heavier. So that was kind of what I wanted to aspire to, just being super heavy.
Definitely. Well, mate, I know we are right out of time. I know you need to go, but to finish off, what would you like to say to all of your Aussie fans out there before they go out and grab tickets for these amazing shows?
Well, to any of our fans that have been with us since the early days, apologies that it's taken us so long to get back. I appreciate anyone that stuck with us. And to the new fans, come get a ticket, come see us for the first time. It's going to be fun. I think the band is like full of energy and like reinvigorated now, so we're playing better than we ever have, and the shows are way more fun and intense. So yeah, very excited, and just looking forward to meeting a bunch of new people out there.
This side of the world I don't know. stone. Who will force the field with their seeds are sown? Like moths to flames, they harbor the arcane, constricting, complicit in our decay. Face down in the dirt again. What's the gain from being the last one standing? Got the limit of the turning gate. So now it's understood, we remove the dead wood. Burn it down! Raise it all to the ground! Every last one! I feel the weight of a soul in my hand, and I'm starting to understand. Standing this hell unscathed, while we fight for the straps torn away. Parasites of sycophants, bleeding you dry. Face down in the dirt again. What's the gain from being the last one standing? Got the limit of the turning gate. So now it's understood, we remove the dead wood.
Well, listeners, as you know, we have been playing some of the brand new singles from Crimson Veil on their new album called Hex. This is an absolutely amazing album. I've had a chance to sit down and take a listen to the entire album now, and I've got to say, it is amazing. So we thought tonight we would actually get Mishkin from the band on the phone to chat a little bit about this great new album. So welcome to the program, Mishkin.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No worries. Now tell us a little bit about this brand new album. Like I said, it's an amazing album. Our listeners have had a chance to hear a few of the singles, but not the whole album. So tell us a little bit about what were you talking about as a band when you first started to head into this album?
So it started quite a long time ago, actually, in the middle of the pandemic. And we actually had a previous band to Crimson Veil. Crimson Veil's very new, but we were operating under a different name for many years under a band called Bird Eats Baby, which I would say is more like orchestral rock, kind of leaning towards metal. But when we started making metal, that was in the pandemic, and it all started when I had this like little riff in groups of 5, and Anna had kind of just joined the band at that stage, and we were writing together for the first time, and I knew she was really into prog and like polyrhythms and, you know, weird stuff like this kind of thing that we wanted to always make. So I brought the idea for the song Hex to her in London in one of the like breaks between lockdowns, and we just sat down and kind of worked the whole thing out. I had this idea to do a song that was made up of 9 parts, and each time one sequence went round, another one would start, and it would get way more complicated with different time signatures, polyrhythms, and it would just layer up and layer up and layer up until it became to this sort of really terrifying ending of the song. And that's how it all started. That was the blueprint for the rest of the record. We were just writing for fun, really. We weren't really aiming to do anything with it. We weren't touring. We lost all of our like touring contacts, everything just kind of fell apart for the band. So we were like, I don't even know if we're going to tour again. So maybe should we just make some music for fun? And that's what happened. That's what that album is. The rest of the tracks kind of followed on from that. But yeah, that's where it came from.
Wow. So going from that orchestral rock sound to the metal sound that we hear now, what sparked that? Was there something in your life that just made you decide, I need that change? Or what actually sparked that?
Yeah, it was really weird actually, because me and Gary started the old band like way back in 2009 would have been our first release with that project, and then Hannah joined in 2015, and we'd been doing that band for a really long time, but just got this real feeling that time was kind of over. It was really strange. Me and Gary both had this weird premonition that like it was kind of finished.
Yeah.
What we didn't know is that a new project was kind of coming into our minds, which eventually turned into Crimson Veil. But yeah, it just felt like that band had kind of ended, and we were listening. We've always been metal fans. Like I love metal, but I've never made metal before. I wasn't a metal vocalist until recently as well. This is all new stuff for us. Gary's like the real metalhead. Over the years it sort of grew, and then we were like, really wanted to make a metal record. So we decided to do that with Hex, and we were like, okay, we'll try and take this band into the metal sphere. And it was going pretty well, like the singles, Ribbons, Illuminate and Hex we released under the old band name, and when Hex came out it got the attention of our now manager Frank, and he had this contact with Raining Phoenix, and he said, if you're making metal now, I can help you guys, this kind of music, we can market it because it's metal music, it's not as weird as your old band, and I know the metal scene. So when that happened, it kind of it just turned into a metal band in the label, and we felt that it needed a new name for it to grow, because we had 6 records with that previous band, and they're all a mixture of loads of different genres, but they were like, let's market this as like a metal band, even though it's still really weird and proggy, it's still like firmly under the banner of metal, and that's why we felt the new name in Crimson Veil got launched.
So changing the vocals to go into being more of a metal vocalist, tell us a little bit about that. Did you find that a challenging experience?
Yeah, I did. So weirdly, like the deep guttural death growls came pretty easy, which was not what I was expecting. I had a great teacher. In fact, I've had loads of great teachers over the years, and that's kind of how I've become the musician that I am. I've had like 4 different vocal coaches, but I specifically wanted to go into this really like aggressive metal style. So I worked with Mary Zimmer, who's an amazing vocal coach. And within the first lesson, she was able to explain exactly what the techniques were, which just so clearly, and to get me to do these voices. So the death growls, it actually came pretty easy. I found that if I just opened up my lungs and didn't have any control over the sort of voice box, that I was able to do those sounds a lot easier. What I really struggled with, and I still find difficult to predict when I do it live, is my fry vocals, which is a much higher kind of sort of scream, more static kind of stuff. So that I've definitely found challenging, and that's taken me years to nail. So I can do it in the studio now, but sometimes I do get a bit nervous live that it's not going to happen. I'm just going to make a really, really embarrassing noise.
Starting the writing process for this album during COVID, do you think that kind of helped that you were in lockdowns and things like that, because you could concentrate on the music rather than having everyday life interrupt that process?
Absolutely, 100%. This album came from introspection and being alone. That's what it felt like when I was writing it. And yeah, just no interruptions, and the days just seemed to go on and on forever without any kind of interaction. I was lucky enough to be locked down in my home, and we have a studio, so we've got a little home studio here, me and Gary, and so we were really lucky that we had access to recording and creativity. But it was a very dark time. While I loved not having to be on tour all the time or kind of working, really, really hard and not having enough time for creativity, it still felt like a very dark, kind of quite depressing time, and this album's very much about the introspection of that and waiting for the next thing to happen, kind of in a state of anxiety, I suppose. So yeah, it definitely came from that, and there were just no strings attached to this album. We didn't have to follow anything up. We were just writing for fun, like I said. So I think that the pandemic definitely did ignite that.
Definitely. Do you think that also reflects in the lyrics as well? Like, did you find yourself writing a lot about that darkness and that loneliness that you were going through at that time?
Absolutely, yeah. Illuminate was definitely one of those songs that came out of this sort of loneliness and the uncertainty of whether we were ever going to go on stage ever again. I mean, that was my life. Being on stage is the thing that lights me up as a person, and it was quite scary to think, well, maybe that's not going to happen, maybe never again. It was like the industry kind of collapsed a little bit. So those songs came out of that. Illuminate's definitely about being in the darkness and waiting for a new pathway to appear.
Did you also find that hard to kind of launch the band during that time as well, or did you find that easy because people were at home and kind of more open to listening to new music?
In some ways it was easier because we only had to focus on the online element of things, so there was less kind of work to do in that way. But it was sad that, there wasn't any like launch parties or gigs. We were doing like live stream, which is fun in its own way, but it's nothing like a live show.
Yeah.
It's very weird. There's no audience, and you finish a song and there's just, silence. It's just very strange. So yeah, in some ways it was easier for us to focus. We just focused on the music video element, and I think we made like 3 really epic music videos and put them out, and that's kind of what got us noticed. But I'm so happy to be back on stage now.
Definitely. So we mentioned a little bit about the darkness on the album, but there's also tracks like Shift that are also very catchy. Was that something that you were aware of from the very beginning, that there was this darkness, but there was also a catchiness in there as well?
Yeah, so, Shift is, I think we felt it was really important as a band that we were going to write something that was quite unusual and dark and weird and, different kind of tones. And then, but we also felt it was really important to just make something that's also really fun that people can just kind of bang their heads to. And I think Shift is really like that as a song. It's not difficult to get into. It's 4/4. It's pretty straight. It's got a kind of melodic chorus. That song was catchy. Apart from, I guess, the riff in 15/8 towards the end. It's a bit more challenging.
One of the things I've loved about...
Just 1 second. Sorry, somebody just left something at my door. I just grab it. Sorry, I'm back.
My next question was going to be kind of about there's a unique sound with this band. Like we were just talking about Shift. There's a bit of an Eastern influence in there, and you've got your own unique sound, whereas a lot of bands that come through these days, people compare them straight away and say, well, they sound like this and they sound like that. Was that uniqueness something that you always wanted there from the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, definitely that was our intention, but also it came very naturally, that uniqueness, because I think the 4 of us are into such different types of music. And, for example, Anna is loves prog music and bands like Porcupine Tree, and her dad's like a prog guitarist. So that was her kind of input with the record. Hannah was classically trained on violin and cello and harp, and listened to mostly classical music and pop. Whereas, I grew up singing in a church choir, and I have a Jewish grandma, so I was kind of influenced by klezmer music as well, which I guess is maybe where the sort of weird Eastern scales come from. And then Gary is like really the metalhead, but his background's also in jazz. So I think it's very unusual to have a band with such contrasting influences, but also all 4 members are writing for the project. So these tastes just cross over, and we all love metal. So that was really where it crossed over. And I think that, yes, we wanted to write something unique, but also it's easy for us to write something unique because we all bring something completely different to the sound.
Yeah. So I have to ask, because it's something I've been through personally as well. I started off in a church choir, went into a boys' choir, and I remember the shocked look on my parents' face the first time they heard me do death metal vocals. What was that like for you with your family when you kind of went away from the church choir into your own kind of music?
So I've been making music for a really long time, and I did start, writing quite heavy rock music, and I'm in a good place with my family now, but it was a bit of a difficult kind of decision. I stepped very, dramatically away from Christianity, and didn't really want it in my life anymore, and that was really difficult. And I think they, were sad that my music had gone to something more secular, and I think didn't understand it for a while. But these days, it's pretty good, and we sort of appreciate each other's music. And I'm actually really grateful that I was raised, in the church for the music side of things, because that's where I learned how to sing in harmony, and it's really where I learned chord structures and how to play the piano, and how to sing in a group, really, which is, brilliant. And all of that training came from the church, so I kind of made my peace with it. But yeah, it was a bit difficult for a while, and now it's cool, and they're really proud of me that I'm doing my thing, so it's all good.
Definitely, yeah. No, I just always remember that look on my mum's face. It's something that's going to be forever etched there. So now with the album coming out later this month, where to for the band? What are your plans? Are you hoping to get out there and do more shows around Europe? Are you hoping to maybe even head to a country like Australia? What are the plans going forward now?
So currently we're just waiting for the album to come out and trying to raise the sort of awareness of the band, because we're so new in the scene. There's a few tours that we're talking about with our management now, so we're just waiting to see which ones are appropriate for us and which ones we can go for. So at the moment we haven't got anything we can announce, but it's definitely on the cards to get us on tour as much as possible. I think 2025 will be like a really big year for us in those terms. And for now we're just we're doing one show in our hometown of Brighton to launch the album, which we haven't announced any details for yet, but that's it for now. And then I think we'll announce tours. Once the album comes out, we'll have a clearer plan of where we're going. But we'd love to go to Australia. We'd love to go to America, tour Europe. Those are all great places. We just want to get on stage as much as possible.
Awesome. Well, I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are going to sit down and take a listen to this amazing album on the 20th?
I'd say watch out, because it's a monster of an album, and be prepared to be confused and alienated by the music. But we hope you like it, and let us know what you think of it. And thank you so much for listening to us and for having me on the show.
Found myself in the birth of a dream, in the peace only pain can bring. 7 gates break in the glow. I'm awake, I speak, 'cause I know
Well, listeners, as you know, over the last couple of weeks on this show, we've been playing the brand new single from Tungsten. And, of course, their new album is out on the 18th of October. So we thought today we would actually get one of the members of the band on the phone to chat a little bit about this amazing new album. So welcome to the program, Mike.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, Mike, as I mentioned, we've been playing the singles off this new album on our show. We've been playing Lullaby now as well, now that that's out. So I was wondering if you could start off by telling us a little bit about this album and what you were all talking about as a band when you first started work on this album.
Yeah, this album we consider to be a natural continuation from the last album called Bliss that were released on 2022. And the whole goal was, I mean, our basic style is to have this Nordic folk metal melodies kind of style, but in a melodic metal industrial way, like we had in our first album that released back in 2019. But with Bliss, we decided to try to broaden, extend our boundaries a little bit musically, and try out a little bit different things, but without sounding too different. And that's the exact same thing that we decided to do with the Grand Inferno, so we don't get locked into a corner where you suddenly can't experimentize. Well, make experiments of the music, so to speak. So we want to have this a wide range of music, so to speak, but still with a firm foot from where we came from, with this Nordic folk metal style. So that we will never abandon, but we will always try to extend our boundaries a little bit musically.
You mentioned about extending your boundaries, but also a little bit of experimentation as well. What kind of things did you want to experiment with this album?
Yeah, but for example, the title track is very melodic metal, very dynamic. That begins with a beautiful piano at the beginning and very sensitive vocals, so to speak, and then it bursts out in a epic chorus, very big chorus, etc., etc. While then we have a song like Valborg, our first single. That song is more like a traditional Tungsten songs, for example. And then we have another song called Falling Apart that is more industrial metal. Sounds a little bit different, but still very much Tungsten. So that's what I mean. We combine different styles within metal, but in a way that it sounds Tungsten, so to speak. I don't know how better to explain it, but I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely it does. And how does that make you feel as an artist when you are going out of your comfort zone and pushing those boundaries? Is that something that excites you as an artist, or do you find yourself getting a little bit nervous at times as well?
It definitely excites us. I mean, no matter what song we write, we always go with songs with strong melodic choruses. No matter if it's an industrial song or folk metal song or a power metal song, we always strive to have choruses that it's very easy to absorb and get into. Very, very sing-along kind of. It's like Anders, our drummer, said in one of his interviews that we play anthemic metal. So that's actually the most important thing. But then how the song will be packaged, in what kind of metal, how it will, the approach will be, that will be kind of different. But that's nothing but exciting. It's very exciting.
You mentioned about that kind of sing-along element that's there, this time stronger than ever. Do you think that's going to translate into some very special live performances with the audience getting involved as well?
absolutely. We have no song just yet because we haven't done a full show yet. Of course, the album isn't out even yet, but we have those things from songs from our last album, like a song called "On the Sea." And there we have this part when we play live, when we get the crowd to sing along for a minute or so. But I'm quite sure we will arrange something similar with a song or a few songs from the new album as well when it's out.
We talked a little bit about the boundaries and the experimentation this time around, but were there any themes that you found that you kept returning to when you actually started to work on the lyrics for this album? Was there anything kind of inspiring you at that time when it came to a theme?
Well, what inspires us is basically life itself. I mean, most lyrics is about life in one way or another. It can be things that we ourselves have experienced, that we write, get the inspiration from, or it's a journey, or maybe it's the world itself. I mean, the world is crazy, more crazy than usual nowadays, with the wars in Israel and Gaza, Ukraine, etc., etc., etc. It's a very vulnerable world right now. But then there is also lyrics about fiction things. I mean, and old stories about like Valborg. It's about a weekend in the 1st of May that you celebrate in Sweden, Germany, and in England. I think Finland too, actually, where you basically light up a big bonfire to burn out the winter and embrace the spring and warmer weather that is coming. So it's the lyrics varies from everything from normal things that people can relate to fiction things, or even lyrics inspired by movies, for example. So yeah.
Now, I've got to ask now, because I'm a very, very big movie buff. In fact, I host a movie show as well as a heavy metal show. Tell us a little bit about the movie inspirations that we might find on this album.
Yeah, for example, I know the song called Mama. No, sorry, Lullaby. I think actually that's one of Carl's lyrics that he wrote, but I think he came up with the idea based on a dream he had, a nightmare or something. But it is kind of similar to reminds a little bit of the movie called Mama.
Yep.
But the story in Lullaby is more about the mother searching for eternal youth. And by that, she sacrifices her daughter to some strange ghost or something that literally puts her to, she kills her more or less. And later on, her daughter comes back from the grave to get back at her mother by singing this "Hush, little baby, don't you say a word," to haunt her forevermore, so to speak. And that's kind of a spooky horror story. Sad, but spooky.
Now, talking about spooky, I understand that when you were putting together the video clip for Lullaby, you found yourself in a little bit of a weird location and a bit of a spooky location. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's just 10 minutes from where I live, actually. It's an old abandoned sugar factory. And we rented that place, and we were on the 3rd floor in a big warehouse. And it's so untouched for so many years. There are actually small trees growing in there, and moss. I don't know the English word. This green thing on the ground that you find in the forest, moss.
Yep, moss. That's right. Yep.
That's growed on the floor, and really cool place, but very spooky and also a little bit nasty. So strange, and lots of birds flying in there, and I mean, that building has been abandoned for like 30 years, and no one have touched anything. So the location was absolutely perfect for to create this, to film this lullaby video.
I was going to say it adds to the atmosphere. Definitely. Was that what you felt while you were filming there, that it did add to the atmosphere?
Absolutely. That was the basic reason. A spooky place.
Now, we mentioned before as well about the tracks on this album. They're going to be tracks that are going to be very, very special live. You do have some shows coming up as well. How do you feel about heading out onto the road and delivering these tracks live?
We're really excited and longing for it. We actually played a few new songs on the festival that we... Just this last Saturday, we played in a festival in Sweden, and that was the first time we played Lullaby live, for example. Can I say that the song Blood of the Kings is, at the moment, our opening song when we play live. But we were really excited to go on this tour supporting Sonata Arctica. It's just too bad it's only Scandinavia, but, well, we have to begin somewhere, so... hopefully there will be more tours during 2025.
Definitely. That was actually my next question. Is there any chance that we might see you in Australia as well? You're developing quite a following here with fans. Is there a chance that you guys might head to Australia at some stage for a tour?
Absolutely. I mean, I'd never say no to anything. I mean, we don't have a booker in Australia, of course, but we have a booker that handles Europe, and I'm sure if the right people in Australia contacts him, for example, this Dragon Productions, I'm sure things can get solved. It's, of course, a matter of what the deal is, economy, etc., and availability and so forth. But, of course, it would be really cool to come to Australia to perform live. So I hope that will happen.
Definitely. Now, Mike, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly. So I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are going to sit down and listen to the Grand Inferno on the 18th of October? What would you like to say to them?
I say that they are in for a ride, a musical ride, and we are really proud of this album, and we are very, very grateful for the support we've had this far, and we hope we will find even more fans, new fans with this new album that will follow us and support us along the way. So, and lastly, I really hope that Tungsten comes to Australia to perform live.
Hush, little baby, don't just say a word. Mommy's gonna push you into the hurt. And if the hurt doesn't send you to the sky, Mommy's gonna tell you your last goodbye.
Soon you'll see what it means to be me.
Well, listeners, we have a very, very special guest on the show right now. One of the cinema events of this year that so many people have been looking forward to is the Sabaton film, which hits our screens here in Australia on October the 11th. Tickets are already on sale, but today we've actually got Pa from the band on the phone to chat a little bit about this amazing, the tour to end all tours, film experience, cinema experience that is coming. So welcome to the show, Pa.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and good to talk to you. Hope everything is fine over there.
It is. Now, you've got a very, very hectic day today because you were telling me just before you're about to fly out to the US tonight, your time. But this cinematic experience, there are so many Australian fans that are excited about this. Tell us a little bit for you. How do you feel with this film premiering right around the world?
Very exciting. I mean, the whole idea starts, of course, when we were actually kind of rehearsing for the tour that we did last year, at the beginning of last year, when we did a tour for the album The War to End All Wars. And we were in England, where we had built up everything in a gigantic studio where we were doing the production rehearsals, and we saw how cool the show was, and we're like, we need to film this at some point, because it's a pretty big production, you know. We brought around 140 people from city to city around Europe for this. That was a pretty big thing, and we thought it was so cool and so nice to play it. So good songs, set list, everything was something. So we were like, it's a little bit sad that only this goes to Europe. Obviously, it's too big for us to transport this whole thing around the world. But we said, okay, we film it, and maybe we're gonna release something. And DVDs ain't really a big thing these days, so streaming services, of course, is the way to go. But we were starting to discuss with some people then about how can we bring it, and then cinemas is pretty cool, and we did it kind of different than many others, because we didn't go to a big distribution company who guarantees worldwide distribution for this. We went to like a small independent collaborations of indie cinemas in Sweden, basically. And they were like, oh, we're excited, let's show it only in Sweden, and we see what other countries we can get on. And then, since then, we've been working, everybody been working tirelessly to tie in more and more countries. And it's just growing and growing, and we did not expect it to be this big. Right now, as we are talking, I think it's like 750 cinemas who will show it, but we're about to add quite a lot more as well. So it's growing and it's super exciting, and I can't wait to see the fans' reactions as well.
Even here in Australia, it is showing in so many cinemas. Normally when we get these concert events showing in cinemas here in Australia, it'll just be a few select cinemas in capital cities. But I was looking at the list before, and I think it's almost like 40, 50 cinemas that are showing it here in Australia as well. How important was that for you guys to get this into Australian cinemas for your Australian fans?
For us, it was a priority with Australia because of the we haven't been there so much to play, and we miss you guys.
Yeah.
And we wanted to share this with you guys, so it was priority, and it is not up to us how many cinemas will actually jump onto it, but we were very happy when the suggestions came and the local distribution in Australia was coming back to us and saying like, hey, look, there's a big interest here, and we're getting more and more cinemas aboard, and I was like, yahoo! So with this, I'm happy now, and looking forward. I'm super excited as well, and we are using this a little bit to poke and pitch the people who book the concerts in Australia. Like, look at how many cinemas we're showing it in. Maybe you need to consider bringing Sabaton over a little bit more often.
Definitely, we would wholeheartedly agree with that. And I've had a sneak peek of the actual film too. I've had a chance to sit down and watch it. It looks amazing, but one of the things that really stood out to me was there was a very special reason why you guys chose Amsterdam as the city that it was filmed in. I was wondering if you could tell our listeners a little bit about why you chose the Ziggo Dome in Amsterdam as the venue for the filming of the film.
There's a couple of reasons. One of them is that it is until today the biggest headline show we've ever played, with 16,000 people sold out. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to record it. But also the Ziggo Dome itself is a beautiful and very modern and great venue, allowing for very good opportunities to record it in very high quality and with good camera positions, and with everything there. We could also do the full show. We had a quite big production with us, and not all the venues, even though we were playing the biggest arenas indoors that exist in Europe, there were some of them who were not even big enough to fit our production, but this one could fit it all. So for these kind of reasons, we decided to record it there, and I'm super proud of it. And I think it looks great as well. I've been sitting down and with Jens, who's been editing it. I've been working closely with him on the editing of this, and I've seen it a lot of times, and I'm super proud of it.
It's amazing too when you guys do some of the slower songs that you guys are famous for as well, that the crowd's reaction with the mobile phone lights, that just adds some very, very special shots during this film.
Yeah, there's a moment in there when I ask all the people to take them up, and it's before we play the song Christmas Truce, and I think that it helps a lot to the atmosphere in that song. But I mean, it's like a concert is a collaboration between band and fans.
Yeah.
So we do our best, and the fans do also their best. And sometimes it's about them screaming or clapping their hands or jumping, or in some cases maybe not Sabaton that much, but Wall of Deaths or mosh pits or these kind of things. But it's a collaboration of creating an unforgettable evening.
Yeah.
And it's not just we do what we can, we do ours, but sometimes the audience is also participating to make it even better.
Yeah. One of the other reasons why Amsterdam felt so special as well was there's a story that's told during the film about the fact that I think it was when the band was about 6 years old, you you played in Amsterdam, but you found it very hard to get a gig to start with, and then it was a very, very small crowd. So to be able to come back all those years later with 16,000 fans, what did that mean to you all as a band?
So it was a story I was telling, and it wasn't really Amsterdam that we played. It was a little bit outside in a place called Helmond, but very close there. And it was a story I told that night, and of course it's kind of similar story in every country because Sabaton started small everywhere. So and we slowly become more and more popular. It's never been a jump or a out of nowhere quick success for the band. It's always been a slow progress, which I'm very proud of. I'm super happy because it's been organic. It's been done by us. We don't really, let's say, owe it to somebody else who just made Sabaton big overnight. It's something we did by playing for the fans, and slowly it got better and better. But yeah, it's a pretty funny the specific one in Amsterdam there when it's the first headline show we ever had. We had one of these noise guards, and the sound limit was so low in there that even when our drummer was not even playing with amplifiers, it turned off the power in the venue. So we had to play super weak on the drums. And it's when you have a drummer who dreamed his whole life about sitting and playing as hard as he can on the drums and the headbanging and this, and then you have to tell him, can you play like very soft on the drums? It's like, how do you play when we have super fast double bass drum things, and how do I play soft? Well, I don't know, but you just have to play silent.
You mentioned before the set list as well, and as a huge Sabaton fan, I have to say, when I was watching the film, you covered all of the tracks that I love so much. I don't think there's going to be any fan that walks away from this cinema experience feeling like they haven't seen one of their favorite tracks. How important was that to you guys about having that perfect set list? Because it feels like the perfect set list.
I agree with you as well. For me, it also feels like the perfect Sabaton set list on that. I'm super proud of it. I mean, I think that we are usually, it's not a problem for Sabaton to create a good set list. We have a lot of songs that are fan favorites and these kind of things, and we can but here it's like a roller coaster, up and down, very dynamic, and there is a part in the show where we play exclusively First World War songs. We got some actors in there. It looks and feels a little bit different. It takes the viewer on a little bit of a roller coaster in that. So there are not only fan favorites in that set list, but they fit very well together. So instead of just taking the top songs and playing them, which for some people would be a great set list, we have taken the songs that we think fits into this atmosphere of the show.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit slightly different way of thinking, but that's maybe why I also feel very emotional when I think about back to that show. I love that set list.
Yeah. What was it like for you on the night as well, knowing that it was being filmed? Because, of course, there would have been things that were different to a normal show for you. Like, were you aware of the cameras whizzing around and things during the actual show?
Nobody in the band really likes the idea of being recorded.
Yep.
Whenever you feel camera is on, then you think about it, and then it's not that good. So we tuned it down for everybody in the band, and I was of course aware of it because I'm the one who ordered the recording of it, but the rest of the guys in the band, they were not really aware of what's gonna be like and anything. So. And we did film 2 more shows on the tour that we haven't edited together, but we've filmed them, and it's kind of the same. Like, okay, so some days there were the cameras, some days there wasn't, but just play the show as usual. That was the whole idea. And then, because we didn't want this to be, we have done it in the past. We're like, okay, tonight we're gonna film and everything has to be perfect. Then people don't play perfect. So this time it was more like, don't bother. There's some cameras, some shows, and don't bother about it. Just play the show. Yeah. And that works out better for us.
You said that you've felt very emotional when you've watched the footage back. What has that experience been like for you, sitting down and watching such a special night in the life of the band?
No, I mean, well, I get so... I want to be on the stage so much. So lately, I mean, since that tour, Sabaton hasn't been really active. Okay, we did one, we played a tour with Judas Priest in America, and in a few hours I'm going to America to play the second part of that tour. So, but except for that, we pretty much haven't played since then. And for me, who loves being on stage, and for Sabaton, who has been a very active band, touring a lot in the past, it was kind of missing the stage so damn much, and then sitting and watching this, I'm like, I want to go on tour. But we needed to take a break. We needed to work on new music. So, and that's why we took a break. We have been pretty busy, even though we haven't been touring.
Definitely, and we're very thankful that you're working on new music. Now, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly for the interview, so I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to your Australian fans out there? The tickets are on sale now for them to be able to go and pre-purchase their tickets to go to the cinema. So what would you like to say to all of your Australian fans before they go out and grab tickets to these amazing shows?
I mean... I hope you're gonna all enjoy the movie, and then I hope that all of you will see Sabaton someday. I mean, we are working on new music, and with new music we're also working on new tours, and of course we have our eyes on you. So we miss you a lot, and we really wanna come back and play for you guys.
There's a thunder in the east. It's not a crack over the seas. They've been facing poison gas, 7,000 charging mass. They're the tide of the attack and force the enemy to turn back. And that's when the dead men are marching again. Once against men and again, back of the dead, other men facing the dead. Once again. Against the Tsar, moving 12 battalions large into a Russian countercharge. They'll be fighting for their lives as their enemy revives. Russians won't surrender, no, drinking fear into their foe. And that's when the dead men are marching again. Once again, men, and again, back of the dead, other men, facing the dead. Once again, other men, charge again, play again, once again, men, and again,
And that is it for this episode of Subculture After Dark. If you do want to grab tickets to those Sabaton cinema experiences, I recommend jumping on it because I know some cinemas are close to selling out already. And if you want a list of cinemas that are showing that film, go onto subcultureentertainment.com because we have a list up there. So it is right around Australia, though. Event Cinemas, Hoyts, Village have all jumped on board. So, jump on to our website. And Harley, if people do want more information about anything they've heard on tonight's show, or they want any heavy metal news as it breaks, where can they go to follow us socially as well?
Well, of course, you can head off to the website, as Dave said, or check out Subculture Entertainment on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or Discord, or look for Subculture Dave on Instagram and Threads. And yeah, just feel free to hit us up on any of those channels as well. Maybe this is a good point to put it out there. Just let us know if you guys see many heavy live shows, and do you want to? Especially, look, we're Melbourne based, and we've just been talking about things. We've repeatedly spoken, haven't we, that we want to put on kind of subculture like festivals and things.
Yeah.
Now, we're not suggesting we're going to start a huge festival or anything like that, but we might look at doing some nights.
Yeah.
Where, you guys can hear stuff. So if that sounds interesting to you, please hit us up. We want to know your feedback. Do you like to experience this stuff live? And what would you like to hear? Where would you like to experience it? So yeah, just put it out there because we're looking at different things right now. And this is also what I am studying. As Dave said at the start of the show, I've been doing some study. So I might want to put some things on rather than take things off because I'm a very demure young man.
Yeah, and jump onto Discord as well because we've had some magical things happen on there recently. So I heard a rumor about a band that was touring, and we were discussing it in there because we couldn't go with it on air because it wasn't factual. But a few of us discussed it on Discord, and then a couple of weeks after we discussed it, the tour was announced, so it was true. And we also had two guys who recently met on Discord as well. One was based in South Africa and one was in the United States. They were both in metal bands, and now the guy from South Africa is featuring on a track that the guys from America are doing as a track. So you never know who you're going to meet in those chat rooms on Discord, on the Subculture Entertainment Discord. So, make sure you jump on there. Not only do you get some tasty rumors that come true, but you might meet someone that wants to work with you as well. So,
So, jump on there and start a rumor on our page. It may come true.
I have to preface that it was a little bit more than a rumor. I was told some information from someone that was a little bit of an insider, and we talked about whether people would be excited if it came about, and it did. So yeah, that's how that went. So I wasn't talking out of turn. It was someone who mentioned to me that that they knew that this band was close to announcing a tour, and it did happen. So there you go. But we better get out of here right now. So enjoy Subculture After Dark. Hit us up on subcultureentertainment.com because there's heavy metal news going up there just about every day. But for now, I've been Dave G.
And I've been Harley. We'll catch you in a couple of weeks.